Today we are reviewing this Underseat Subwoofer that I've been using in the Excella for around 3 months now. I just want to take you guys through the features, the specs, and how it's been performing so far. And if you are thinking of upgrading the audio in your car, then by the end of this video you'll know whether to consider this or not. So let's begin. As I said, I've been using this subwoofer for around 3 months now. It did not come with the car. Now, backstory as to why I decided even to get this in the first place. The audio in the Excella was decent, but it lacked that bass. I know there are some Excellas and other Mazdas that come with Bose audio system and other enhanced audio systems, but I'd say for this one it was more or less stock without any subwoofer or bass. So the bass was what was lacking, and I had two options. I could either go the route of getting an entire sound system, which included the big subwoofer that you put in the boot, an equalizer and all that, or just go for a simpler solution. And that's why I decided to go for this simpler solution, which is the Underseat Subwoofer. It doesn't come with any amplifier, and aside from the subwoofer itself, the only other thing that it came with is now the control console, which is installed here. Now with this one you can increase or decrease the level of bass that you'd like, and yeah, it's just located in a nifty place where you can easily access. I had it installed there specifically by the person who was installing this subwoofer. So if you do go the route of this specific subwoofer, you can have it installed anywhere in the car that you'd like. Now for the cost, I bought this at 14,000 shillings, and comparing this to the full sound system option, the full sound system option would cost around 40 to 50,000 roughly, and you see this one is 14,000. So in terms of savings, this one is quite more economical as opposed to the full sound system, and it also doesn't take up too much space compared to the full sound system. Now in terms of installation location, it was either this passenger side, because now on the driver side underneath is the motor for controlling the electronic seat adjustment, so it wasn't possible to put it under the driver seat. The only other option was under the passenger seat. You can also opt to put it in the boot, but for me I just decided to put it under this passenger seat. And in terms of securing it, I know that there are some installers who fix it either underneath the seat completely or just secure it here under the seat so that it doesn't move. But for the installer that I used, I'd say he installed it in the simplest way possible, which is just connecting the wires and letting me adjust it as I so wish. Let me just show you guys the box that it came in. This is the box. The branding is called Vlang, and it's rated at 1800 watts. I'm not sure if I believe it's 1800 watts, and the model number is VL1083B. Aside from the subwoofer itself and that control console and the wiring, there's nothing else that this subwoofer comes with, and it's quite minimalistic in terms of what comes in the box as well as how you install it. It really doesn't need a lot to be installed. It just picks the power from the audio supply, which is underneath the steering wheel, and yeah, as long as you're not running it with the battery not being actively charged, you should be good. It's never drained the car battery, it's never even affected it in any way, so that's a plus. Now for the disadvantages, this specific installation method, if the subwoofer moves a bit, sometimes when it's on it vibrates quite a lot and just distorts that audio. So I have to make sure that I secure it in a way that it doesn't vibrate, and the only time that this thing actually moves is when I take the car to the car wash. But once the seat position has been set, that hardly ever changes. And once I put the mats on top, because I put these mats on top of the subwoofer, they never move. Now the only disadvantage is the person who sits behind this passenger seat. As you can see, this is my foot. The space is quite minimal, just because this subwoofer does take up a bit of space, but not that much space. And also the other disadvantage is for this Exala, there isn't that much space that you can push this underneath the seat. So as you can see, it's at the maximum in terms of how underneath it can go the seat. So the person who sits here, it's not the worst. You see there's still a bit of space, and somebody can also just put their foot on top of the subwoofer if they really need that additional space. But I'd say in terms of taking up space, it doesn't take up that much space, but it does take up space. If your car is more spacious, then you'll be good. I'm sure the likes of Toyotas, those cars are quite spacious, but now for the Exala, that space is a bit minimized. For the performance, as I've said, as long as this thing is not vibrating, it performs quite well. But the moment it starts vibrating, or let's say just hitting these edges of the seat or whatever, it distorts the audio. Now let me just turn on the volume so that you can hear how it sounds. So that's the FM, and it is quite a rich bass. Let me just turn it on. Yeah, so just to avoid any copy strike, I won't play that music for too long, but I'd say out of 10 I'd give it a 6. Will I change anything? Yes, maybe the installation. I'd ask the person who's installing it to secure it so that it doesn't move that much, but given the limited space that the installer had to work with, I can understand why they installed it the way they did. They didn't even have to remove the seat. I bought this thing in town, and the guy installed it for me at Holy Family Basilica. We were done within 1 hour, and yeah, I went home listening to my tunes. So the only care that I have to take here is when I go to the car wash, I have to inform those guys that be careful, I have this underseat subwoofer, don't get any water inside here, because that will definitely ruin it. But other than that, it's been low maintenance so far. I haven't had to do anything, and the only thing I'd also suggest is make sure you keep your car clean, because I can imagine that too much dust won't be good for this specific thing. So you see, once I put the mats, you can't even notice that there's anything down there. It just has this hump here. And yeah, so for the seating, as you can see, again, I've pushed the seat to its normal position, so it's not the worst sitting position with the woofer down there, although for some tall people or people with long legs or big feet, they might be quite uncomfortable, but for most people it'll be okay. And that's what I was saying. If your car has more space, then this won't be much of an issue. But for us Exala people, it's not the end of the world. And considering that you can easily install this thing underneath the seat as opposed to taking up additional space in your boot, I'd say it's worth the sacrifice. Unless you really want to have that loud music, then just go for that other option where you just install the full sound system. But for most people, I think this will be sufficient, and yeah, it doesn't take up that much space. Other than that, would I recommend it? Yes. But if you still have an Exala, just know that if you're installing it there, it might take up some of the space for the passenger who will be sitting there. Other than that, out of 10, I'll give it a 7. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye for now.